Okay.
Thank you, Wang. Your handle right now. I think Liam will talk about language and how Ireland first, so you will handle later. Thank everyone.
Okay.
Thanks, Toy. So do you want me to start, Kong? Does that make most sense?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So everybody, you are all extremely welcome. I'm going to share my screen and just talk through some of the slides that I have just to give you some information about the university. Again, if you have questions, pop them into chat. My understanding is that you are all working in kind of English teaching, English language education. So I will give some examples of those type of programs that we offer in that area. The University of Limerick is very highly rated for English language teaching. So I think we're in the top 100 in the world in that area. And Kwang can speak a little bit more about his own experience having studied in that part of the university. So firstly, let me just briefly introduce myself. So my name is Liam. I'm the Southeast Asia region manager here in Limerick. And my job essentially is to provide support to you guys as prospective students of the university. So I'll help you from this day until you enroll in the university, and then also as an advisor throughout your time in Limerick as well. I'm actually an alumni of UL, so studied politics and international relations here, class of 2006. So I have a little bit of experience about life in Ireland as well. A brief introduction to Ireland for maybe those of you that aren't 100% familiar with it. So Ireland is an English-speaking country in the EU. So it's the nearest neighbour of the UK, but it is part of the European Union. It's home of the fastest growing economy in Europe for the last 5 or 6 years. And then we have quite a number of centres of excellence for things like technology, pharmaceuticals, medical devices, and other industries. So very, very fast growing economy and home of many large multinational companies. Also, cost of education is lower than other English-speaking destinations. So if you look at the UK, USA, Australia, Canada, cost of tuition and cost of living comparatively is lower in Ireland as well, which is good. A brief introduction to UL. So we call University of Limerick is the official title. Everyone in Ireland just calls it UL. So it's a public government university in Ireland. It's ranked in the top 100 young universities in the world. And one of the reasons you can see our campus environment here on the right, it's a beautiful green parkland campus, one of the top university campuses in the world. We're consistently rated top 5 in the international student experience. So we put a huge amount of focus on 2 things in particular. The first thing that we focus on is making sure that students that come to study in Limerick have a positive experience, and we try and give supports, give facilities, and give opportunities to students to do that. And we're consistently rated in the top 5 universities in the world for student experience. The second thing that we focus on is graduate employability and career preparation. So all of our programs are designed with kind of industry in mind, with engagement with companies and engagement with I suppose the real world after you graduate. So all of our courses are designed in that kind of in that model. And again, we'll give some specifics around the English language type courses that we offer and how those link into postgraduate careers and give you some work experience actually during your studies as well. So one example of our focus on career preparation is we offer, for undergraduate students, we offer an 8-month paid internship to all students. It's the largest internship program in Europe, and it means we have huge connections with international and local companies based in Limerick. Our postgraduate programs don't have the same duration of internship. Obviously, an 8-month paid internship is quite a long program in a 1-year master's course, but we do offer usually some sort of company-facing projects or practical education type work in our master's programs as well. And then the overall kind of expected average tuition and living fees, if you take into account master's program and living expenses, around €21,000 per year. That's prior to scholarships, that's prior to part-time work or anything like that. So that's kind of just an idea of the overall cost, which you can reduce through a couple of different ways. Our location. So we're located in Limerick City, which is the third largest city in Ireland. So we're on the west coast of the island of Ireland. As you can see here, the UK is our nearest neighbour. So London to Limerick is about 1 hour by plane. And then there's 4 main cities in Ireland, Dublin, Cork, Limerick and Galway. So they're all within kind of 2 hours drive of each other. And Limerick is central to all 4. UL then has 17,000 students with around 3,000 international students per year from all over the world, usually around 100 nationalities on campus in a normal year. And then we have 2 international airports, Shannon and Dublin Airport, which travel internationally, and there's quite good links to each one there as well. So one of the common questions is, is there Vietnamese students, is there Asian students on campus? What's the campus life like? And we do have some very strong links with Southeast Asia. This year we have around 30 ASEAN students, so kind of from all over Southeast Asia, so Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand. We have around 30 additional students completing full degree programs, so bachelor's and master's programs. And then around 20 PhD students from across ASEAN as well. So I think this year around five or six Vietnamese students in total, but that number is growing slowly every year as word gets out about how good UL is. We also are home of Javanese Gamelan Orchestra. We have a strong branch of student support services offered by PPI Irelandia, MySci, and there's also kind of a small but strong Vietnamese community in Ireland as well that help with students arriving in and things like finding good food locations and things like that as well, which is good. Just a quick student spotlight. So obviously we'll hear from Quang. So I didn't give his profile, but just to highlight a couple of students that have studied with us at master's level recently. So Long Do Tang studied software engineering, is now working in Microsoft headquarters here in Ireland. And then Ni, who is one of our international student ambassadors, studied an international tourism master's and now working with Pinterest as well. So there is routes into employment, I suppose, after you graduate, either in Ireland, in Europe, in the UK, Singapore, Malaysia, obviously back in Vietnam as well. So we do try and provide a lot of support to students to get into employment after they graduate, if possible. So just to touch on things like COVID response and so on. So our on-campus teaching resumed in September. So we've been fully on campus since September 2021. About 95% of our adult population are fully vaccinated, and we've had kind of a low number of severe cases, no lockdown rules in place since January 2022, and it's been kind of back to some normality anyway in the last kind of 12 months, which is fantastic. In the case of international students arriving into Ireland, there's free vaccines, free COVID testing and healthcare available for international students as well. So we do provide a lot of support, and we do provide airport collection and assistance with the arrival process into Ireland during the pandemic. Just to touch on the campus and the city. So just to show you the university campus, it's a suburban parkland campus. So it's about 10 minutes outside of the Limerick city centre. It's in the kind of suburbs. It has all of the facilities that you would ever need. So sports, social, teaching, research, anything really that you want is located in the campus. It's essentially a large student city where all the students kind of live on campus or in the local area and have everything they need there. It's been voted the best student campus in Ireland for the last 5 years running. And then Limerick itself is quite a vibrant student city. So about 1/3 of the population are actually university students. So we have 4 third level education facilities in Limerick, and quite a large part of the population are university students. So the world-class student life, so what we call the wolf pack is our clubs and societies. They have everything from archery to skydiving, the International Society. You can see Ed Sheeran playing in Thomond Park in Limerick this weekend, actually, and it's heavily attended by our music society, and everything in between. So we do offer quite a lot of activities outside of the classroom as well. And we do urge students to not just come here to study, but also to broaden their horizons and to take part in the community here in Limerick also. Accommodation. So each student gets their own private bedroom, a private bathroom, private study area on campus, if you live on campus. And then you have a shared living room and kitchen in an apartment with 5 students usually in the dorms. So quite good accommodation options. I lived on campus while I was a student and very much enjoyed it. The cost is approximately $5,000 per year, including bills, depending on which type of accommodation you go for. And then there's 24-hour security, live-in managers, and we reserve around 2,000 spaces on campus for international students as well. So it's not guaranteed. It is first come, first serve. So if you are interested in living on campus, book early. Once you get your offer letter, you can book the on-campus accommodation at that stage. So I'll get on to the more specific stuff shortly, but just to cover, we are a comprehensive university with 4 faculties. So a large faculty of science and engineering, education, health science, arts, humanities and social science, and business. And then we offer 19 schools within that. The one that we're going to focus on today is modern language and applied linguistics, which is in the kind of area of teaching. We do also offer some education programs, so school leadership and educational leadership, which I'll touch on as well, which could be relevant for you guys as teachers also. So these are some of our popular faculties, so law, economics, business, and so on. And then these are the kind of the relevant programs that we offer. So we have a Master of Arts in Applied Linguistics. We have a Master of Arts in Teaching English Speakers of Other Languages. We have a Master of Arts in English, which is kind of literature and creative writing. Again, is kind of more if you're looking at the written word, literature or creative writing yourself. We do offer then specific Masters of Education, both in school leadership and educational leadership. School leadership is if you're looking to kind of work in school management, so principalship and areas like that. Educational leadership is more around policy development. So working in kind of things like national agencies or working on developing policies within education. And then we also have an MA in technical communication and e-learning, which has obviously become exceptionally important in today's modern age. So it's all about online learning, developing the technical skills to develop online teaching platforms, and some of the skills around systems and the kind of different methods to use during online teaching, which I could probably do it myself, given the amount of online presentations that I give at the moment. Just to talk through the structures, so all of our master's degrees are 1-year degree programs. You will do 2 taught semesters. So we intake in September each year. Your taught semesters will run September to December for semester 1, then January to May for semester 2. And then the 3rd semester is usually a research or practical or a mixture of both semester, where you will do that from May to August. So it's basically 12 months nonstop, bar a short break in December. And you'll basically go through the full process there. So the 2 taught semesters, you'll normally take 5 or 6 subjects, modules we call them, that you'll study. And then during the summer semester, you'll do either a research dissertation or a praxis or a practical module, or a mixture of both, depending on the program that you're studying. One of the unique selling points of studying a master's in Ireland is you do get an automatic 2-year stayback visa. So you can basically access that once you graduate. So there is opportunities to work in Ireland after you finish. And then tuition fees for the programs that I listed earlier, they vary between 12 and 15,000 euros per year. And then there is some scholarships available for those courses as well. So I'll drop links into chat for each of the kind of the relevant programs. But again, if you have particular questions on on any of these courses, feel free to drop a comment into chat, and myself or Kwang will talk on those at the end of the session. And as I said, I will drop links to give the full course outline for each program as well, so that you can look at that in more detail. So just to talk briefly on working in Ireland, so to highlight the opportunities after you work. So one of the global economic think tanks has identified the Irish economy as one least impacted globally by the coronavirus pandemic. We've seen large economic growth and lots of job opportunities still available for post-study work, which is great. And lots of our graduates are accessing the visa scheme to work here in Ireland. So up to 2 years automatic stay-back visa once graduated. You can work part-time during your studies, up to 20 hours per week, which is beneficial. Many of our students work in things like retail or hospitality and things like that, but you can also work in things like translation or English tutoring as well, depending on your qualifications and your background. And then if you want to work longer than that, so if you want to stay in Ireland after your two-year visa, you can apply for a working visa at that stage. So that is a 3-year sponsored visa that your company would sponsor you for. And then once you're working in Ireland for 5 years, graduates can then apply for permanent residency at that stage. So the process, if you did want to work long-term in Ireland, you would study a 1-year master's. You would work for 2 years on your graduate visa that essentially the university sponsors you for. During that time, you would find a full-time job, and then a company would sponsor you for what's called a tier 2 visa, a working visa. That's for 3 years. And then after that, you apply for your permanent residency at that stage. So it's quite straightforward. 1 year studying and then 2 years working, and then you can make a decision based on your longer term stay at that point. Okay, so hopefully that clears up a little bit about the process. Again, we're more than happy to answer questions about the process after you graduate as well. And then these are just some examples of companies that are based in Ireland. So we're a big hub for large multinational companies, and that is a big benefit for students, particularly multilingual students. So a lot of these companies will have bases in Dublin, bases in Singapore, bases in Hanoi, bases in all over the world, and they often will need graduates or students who have multiple languages or can translate or can work comfortably in different areas and different language settings as well. So that is one obviously opportunity for postgraduates work, but also there is fantastic opportunities in teaching, in English language education, in translation and stuff like that as well. These are just some examples of companies that we have on our placement scheme. So for internships, and some of our graduates from the English language teaching area would obviously work with these multinationals. And then just to touch on the application process. So if you're interested in applying, you obviously would apply through Unilink, who we work closely with. They have excellent experience in assisting applications and assisting the whole process in terms of visa, pre-arrival and travel and so on. So they do send students to us each year. The documents that are required. So for postgrad, you need a copy of your passport, a copy of your degree transcript and degree certificate if you've finished your course, 2 letters of recommendation, a personal statement. So a 1-page personal statement is recommended, and then proof of English. So IELTS or TOEFL or Duolingo if required. So from speaking with Toy, I think you all have IELTS 7.0 or above, which is amazing. So you're all in the area for you're covered off for the English piece anyway, which is fantastic. Our entry requirements. So for undergrad, high school, it's 7.0 or above plus SAT. For postgrad, which is obviously relevant for you guys, a GPA of 3 out of 4 if you studied in the international system, or an average score of 7.0 or above in the Vietnamese system, kind of out of 10. And then IELTS, the minimum score is 6.5 or above, with no less than 6 in any one section. And we also do offer a pre-sessional English course through our language center on campus. But I think most of you guys won't need that, which is good. We do offer some scholarships. So we have the UL Global Postgraduate Scholarship. So if you have a high GPA, so a GPA of 8.0 or above from your bachelor's degree, you'll automatically qualify for that. So it's €1,500 per year. So about 10% of your tuition fees, which will be automatically given. You don't need to make a separate application for it. It's just done at the time when you apply. You're assessed for entry and for scholarship at the same time. We do also offer other scholarships like the Government of Ireland 100% scholarship. There's the Irish Aid Scholarship through the embassy in Hanoi, which is 100% scholarship as well. So there is other opportunities, but that's kind of the most common one, and it's uncapped. If all 10 of you apply and all of you have GPA of 8.0, all will qualify for the scholarship. So there's not a limited number of those, whereas many other scholarships are competitive applications as well. So worth bearing that in mind. And then a very quick summary for UL. So this is kind of some feedback we get from students around their experience. So UL, it's fun, it's safe. You'll get internships and practical education and opportunities to kind of tie what you've learned into the real world. Very good employment opportunities. And that's kind of shown in our university motto. So this is the kind of entry stone to the university. And our university motto is here in Gaelic Irish. So most Irish people speak English as their first language, but we also have Gaelic Irish, which is a kind of a traditional or a second language that we speak as well. So it's Éagna chun gníomh is what it is in Irish, but that means wisdom through action in our in English. And it just shows the kind of the ethos of the university. It's all about kind of practical, industry focused education and learning by doing really is very, very important. I thought that might be of interest to some of you guys who are linguists. They get the extra language in there. So on that note, I'm going to pass over to Kwang before we go to questions, and hopefully we'll obviously you want to give him as much time as possible to speak about his experience in Limerick as well. So over to you.
Okay, thank you, Liam. Thank you for your introduction to the University of Limerick, which is very great. Right, so hello everyone. So now I would like to share my screen about a PowerPoint, just a short one, and about the potential courses for language workers. Okay, can everyone see my PowerPoint? Yes? Great.
Yeah.
Okay. So, right. So as Liam have told you before, so we have the 3 courses. I think that would be very great if you study for it after you graduate for your bachelor. Right. So the first one we have is the Master of Arts in Applied Linguistics. The second one would be TESOL, as we all know, and the final one would be Technical Communication in e-learning. And this one is very interesting because it's fully online. Right, so move on to the first one. I think the Master of Applied Linguistics, which is the one I had studied in UL. Right, so this one, we have some special features about it. It's theoretical, which means that it's heavily based on theories and how you dig a little bit up into the knowledge to see how people see language and linguistic problem and how you can find solution to solve those things. So as I've mentioned, this one is very theoretical. So if you're someone that like into practical, you want to do some stuff, then I would recommend you to go for the teaching. It would be better. Right, and it's also very critical. So it requires you to look at problems in many perspectives, from many perspectives, how you often look at them, not through the normal way, but through some, like unique way. Okay. And another thing is that it's broader and it's more diverse topics. So it has a lot of topics within the field of applied linguistics. You can have language education, which is closely linked to the TESOL one. You can have translation and interpretation. You can have sociolinguistics. You can have pragmatics. So a lot of them, actually. So if you think that you want more than just language teaching, I would highly recommend that this one is for you. All right. And for those of you who are afraid of the thesis one, because it's usually when we talk about master thesis is a nightmare for everyone. So then you can go for an internship. You still have to do some writing, but it's not as long as the thesis. Okay, so here are some common modules that you will have for applied linguistics. And I'm sure that you are familiar with some of them already. Right, and the career prospects. So what will we do when we graduated from this Master of Applied Linguistics? Okay, so for this one, as I've told you before, we focus on many fields. So it depends on your personal taste to choose which one that you really into it. So you can adapt, you can choose what you want to be or to do in the future. So normally we will have translation, interpretation, language education, censorship policy, which is, I think, is a growing trend in many countries, including in Ireland, in North America, and in Southeast Asia as well. Okay, or you can become a researcher, that's for sure. Right, and then we come to the Master of TESOL. So this one is very practical because you will deal with a lot of problems head-on right from the beginning, and it's very flexible because you will learn with a lot of doctor and professor within the field, and they are all experts. So you will learn a lot from them, and you get, I would say, critical feedback from them as well. Like if you don't know about that problem, they give you feedback, a lot of supportive comments and constructive. Right, so this one strongly focus on the ELT problems and phenomena, something that you have always spotted in your classroom or in your center, in learners or teachers, but you don't really know how you call it or how to think about it, and you don't have anyone there to guide you. So if you start choosing to study the Master of TESOL, I believe that they will shed some light on your problems and your path. And another interesting about this master course is that it has a module which is called teaching practice. So you practice teaching with real international students with live record, and you will have an expert there, and they will give you feedback on this one as well. So in terms of saying that you are not very confident with your teaching, and I think that that is very common because a lot of us are English teachers, but sometimes we don't really feel like I'm not ready for this, right? You have that kind of nervous thing when you go into a new classroom, or sometimes you just think that I don't have that kind of teacher identity within me. So if you want to fix that, or if you want to do something with it, then the Master of TESOL would definitely help. Okay, common modules. So we have a lot of them. And particularly, I think the ICT and language studies is also very potential as well, because we are shifting to the technology-driven society and community at the moment. Right, career prospect. I trust that you all know this. So teaching, lecturing, but other than that, if you don't want, if you don't want to, okay, I don't want to teach forever, then you can go for material development. You can, develop a course book or curriculum syllabus, or you can work as an examiner, how to build tests, and how to evaluate student learning ability, so that language assessment. And finally, yes, research as well. Also, having a master will grant you ability to work in university as well in Vietnam. Right, and finally, we have the master in technical communication and e-learning, and this one is a very interesting one. I would say it's a wild choice for language students who want to have something newer, something better than just the original one, because this one is a double major. So you specialize in technical communication and e-learning as well, as the name you can see. So it's very flexible, and it combines a lot of fields within this one. So it's interdisciplinary. So you have like design, you have education, you have like learning, psychology, a lot of things basically within this course. So make it very diverse. And I'll give you a link, reference links. So this link is a feedback about the course, and this student I think she writes blog about the content of the course throughout her journey at the University of Limerick. Right, so these are some of the modules that you will have at the master. So as you can see, a lot of things. Right, so finally, career prospect. So it combined between learning and technology. So you will have a lot of things in this post-pandemic stuff with learning and technology, because we're shifting to, you know, a lot of Zoom, a lot of Google Meet, teaching online. So you will be the one dealing directly with this one if you want to do the master in technical communication e-learning. So you will do everything online, including the LMS, the learning management system. Right. So it's very unique and flexible, and especially when you work in the technical communication and e-learning fields, you don't have to go to office. Yeah, because the name is e-learning already. So you can just stay home, or you can go traveling somewhere, but still be able to manage your work. So it's like work from home, and I particularly feel quite fun of it. Okay, so I guess that is the end of my speaking. Now it's time for questions and answer. So do have some question for me if you have anything in mind, if you're curious about anything. Or you can type it down in the chat box as well.
Mọi người ơi, các bạn sau khi mà nghe chia sẻ của thầy Liam với lại Quang á, thì mọi người có thể bật mic để đặt những cái câu hỏi mà mình muốn hỏi cho thầy hoặc là Quang nha. Ví dụ như là về chương trình học hoặc là trải nghiệm cuộc sống ở bên Ireland như thế nào. Thì nếu mà hỏi thầy thì sử dụng tiếng Anh giúp mình, và nếu mà hỏi Quang thì tiếng Anh hay tiếng Việt đều được. Hoặc là nếu như mình không thể bật mic, mình đang có việc gì ngại á, thì mình cũng có thể chat box ha. Ở trên box á thì Unilink và bên trường với lại Quang sẽ trả lời câu hỏi của mọi người ạ. Linh ơi, em có đang muốn hỏi thầy về chương trình TESOL gì không Linh ha?
Dạ có chị ơi, em đợi em xíu.
Ok. Bạn tại vì Ngân cũng chưa biết là có bạn nào có cân nhắc về ngành học chưa, thì ở đây có bạn Ngọc Linh, không biết là Linh có đang thắc mắc gì về chương trình học hay là cần hỏi về thông tin gì ở bên Ireland không Linh ha? Chắc là nhiều bạn không có tiện bật mic hay sao ta?
Oh yes, a very interesting question. Do we need to get a license to teach in Ireland? Yes, so this one is very important. And you do need a certificate to teach English in Ireland, because most English centers will require it. So if you got free time, I suggest that you should take the course during the time that you do the master course as well. So you need a CELTA or a Delta to teach in Ireland. So if you want to teach in Ireland, you should get that first, or you can do it before you come to Ireland. Like you get a CELTA in Vietnam, and then you come to Ireland and do your Master of TESOL, and then you can go out and teach at English centers.
And there's a CELTA testing center on campus in Limerick as well. So if you haven't got it before you arrive, you can do that on campus as well. But very good question. And then if you want to teach in secondary school or primary school, you would need to do kind of a specific high school education qualification. So teaching English, you would get the CELTA. For high school teaching, you would need to do a kind of a specific master's.
Okay, I think this one is for you, Liam, like 6.4 GPA and pre-master program.
6.4 GPA, do have a pre-master program for Masters Applied Linguistic. We don't offer a pre-master's program on campus in Limerick. However, we do work with some pathway providers. So there's a company called DIFC who have a pre-master's program in Dublin through Griffith College. So you can do a pre-master's program there and use that then to transfer into our master's courses here in Limerick. So I can send you details. Do you how of that company? So there's pre-masters in DIFC is the one that I would recommend. What I would suggest maybe is to apply based on your professional background. So if you've been working in teaching or working in English language for a number of years, we do also have an admissions process called RPL, so recognized prior learning. So if your GPA is slightly lower, but you have maybe 5 or 6 years of relevant work experience, that can be considered in place of your GPA. So depending on your profile, I would recommend maybe sending me an email, and I can assess first and give you advice based on that. But if your GPA is lower but you have work experience, you can still be considered. So I'll actually pop my email into the chat here. So I would recommend, if you can, send me a quick email, and I'll be able to advise you on your own kind of profile more in depth.
Okay. Right, next question. Is it easy to get a teaching job as international student? So this one is really depends on your ability as well and your GPA, because a lot of school and English center, they do look at your academic transcript to decide about your, the possibility. Right, but I would say teaching job in Ireland is quite hard to get because it's very competitive. But if you're looking at some other countries like in Europe or in Dubai, because we have a lot of TESOL teacher in Dubai. So if you want to have an experience and work in Dubai, then you can go for it. But in Ireland, I say that you need to be like a little bit better than normal student to be considered for that. But I say you should give it a chance, because some of my friends, they actually work for an English center, even though they are not native speaker. Okay. Are there many job opportunities for master's student applying as a lecturer or teaching assistant at university? Unfortunately, to work as a lecturer or teaching assistant in other, like I would say in developed countries, you need to have a PhD or you are on the way to get it. But if you want to teach at Vietnam, then that's not a problem, because if you have a master degree, then to get into a university in teaching there is quite easy.
And we have a few graduates that have done that. So they've done the master's in applied linguistics and then are working in as faculty in universities in different countries, so Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand. So yeah. that is a route that some students do take. There's a question here for me. Would there be any sponsorship for scholarships for PhD candidates after completing the MA and TESOL? And would there be any requirement for the PhD program? So we do offer PhD in TESOL. And basically, I suppose the way that the scholarships or sponsorships work is it's kind of part of the application process. So the university and the kind of the sponsorship bodies like SFI Ireland and others would have a certain pool of resources, and basically you would make an application to access that funding. So it would really depend on your the strength of your research program, what you're intending to research as a PhD student, but also to work with our faculty and supervisors and professors within the Faculty of English to kind of strengthen that application. So there is definitely funding. We have around 100 Algerian students and about 30 Indonesian students who are on funded PhDs in TESOL. And that is something that we have quite a big number of international students on. It depends really on how strong your application is. So that it's not guaranteed for everybody. If you have a very strong PhD application, you're more likely to get fully funded as part of that. Would there be any requirements for the PhD program? Normally, we look for a second class honors or above, which is kind of a GPA of 2.8 or higher out of 4. from your master's. So kind of an honors master's program is usually accepted, and then you would need to write a research kind of application summary of your the area that you would like to research, essentially, as part of the process. So doing a master's will definitely strengthen your application, and you'll have done kind of your thesis or your research as part of the master's, and most students normally continue that into PhD or broaden it out or make it more kind of in-depth from that position. How about part-time jobs in Limerick? I've experience in babysitting and mentoring children at age 10 to 15. Is there any opportunity to find this part-time job in Ireland or Limerick? Yes, absolutely. So you can, the visa requirement, basically you can work up to 20 hours per week. And there is quite a bit of opportunities for kind of part-time work particularly in kind of child minding, babysitting, and that area is something that you can either organize yourself, or you can work in kind of after school care and stuff like that as well. So there is opportunities in that area. Do we have a Vietnamese community? Yes, there is a small Vietnamese community, but there is obviously a big international student community here in Limerick. So I wouldn't rely just on Vietnamese community. There is opportunities all over Limerick as well. And but there is part-time work. The minimum wage you can be paid is €10.60 per hour. So if you work 20 hours per week for 52 weeks, it's about 10,000 euros. So you can kind of cover your food and rent and bills and stuff like that with part-time work, but you won't cover the full, tuition fees plus your living expenses with part-time work. So Thời would just like some more information on the on-campus accommodation. So I can go through that again, 2 seconds. So for the campus accommodation, we have basically dorms in the university, where you get your own private bedroom, private bathroom, private study area. Let me just show. Did you live on campus or off campus, Kwang?
I lived on campus.
On campus.
Which village?
Thomond Village. Oh yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, essentially, just to show you again, share screen. Oops. So the accommodation basically is so you get your own private bedroom, private bathroom, private study area. So this would be kind of a single room. There's kind of a hotel type swipe card where you can get into your room. Only you can get into your own room. Then only the people in your apartment can get into your apartment. So there's usually 6 people per apartment. And then you have kind of accommodation blocks here, essentially like this, where there may be 5 or 6 apartments per block. And they're all UL students basically living in the dorms. And then each apartment will have a living room, kind of a TV type room, and a kitchen, fully furnished kitchen, where students can cook meals and so on. So quite good campus accommodation. A lot of our international students live on campus. Just it's much easier to arrange from overseas, and it's all kind of within walking distance. So Thomond Village is probably, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes walk to the teaching building, Kwang, if that's right.
Not exactly. And I think that one thing that a lot of you need to pay attention to when you come to Ireland, as well as in Limerick, in the University of Limerick, is that you have to walk around a lot. So we don't have a motorcycle here, so you tend to work a lot, right? So I think from Thomond Village to the office in the university, it takes around 15 to 20 minutes.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, walking. Yeah. So that's a lot of exercises.
It's good exercise, and it's much cooler, so you don't sweat. You don't sweat a lot when you walk around outside.
Yes, and also like lovely sceneries.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so from Vin Fu, I have a master's in TESOL from La Trobe. If I apply to study master's in applied linguistics, any difficulty to get visa? No. So you can have a master's. You can have a master's already and apply to us to do another master's. You would probably run into difficulties if you applied for the masters in TESOL in UL, but if you're doing a different program, so the applied linguistics course is a different course, you wouldn't have any problems there. Can I use EduBond? We do have a kind of a bonds. There is a bond that you can purchase for the affordability piece. So there is, as part of the visa process, you can purchase a security bond or an education bond as part of that visa application process as well. So I hope that helps, Vin.
Yeah. Anyone have any more questions about like life in Limerick or anything in general? I trust that they don't change a lot, right, Liam? Like the prices, the groceries.
No, it's all pretty much the same. There's pretty much the fees go up slightly with inflation every year, like maybe 1 or 2%, and then costs of everything else is pretty much the same. We do have slightly higher like gas prices, petrol prices at the moment, just due to the shortages with sanctions with Russia. But yeah, I mean, not significantly more expensive, and most students won't be driving daily anyway. So yeah, that's kind of the only real major change of costs at the moment on my pocket anyway. Is my car, instead of being 70 euros to fill, is about 100 euros to fill. So that's gone up quite a bit.
Yeah, because like the last time I remember, the grocery prices weren't that bad, and they are actually cheap. Yeah,
food. I think that's feedback from a lot of people, is the food costs are quite affordable, and clothes and stuff like that are affordable as well, which is good.
Yeah, sometimes it's even cheaper than in Vietnam.
for definitely for milk and beef and stuff like that, just because we have so much farms.
Yeah, a lot of them, like, and chicken drumstick, and this lot.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Anyone else has any more questions, like about the courses, how you study, like the teaching style in University of Limerick?
And I've popped a link to the 3 programs that Kwang has outlined. I've put a link to all of those in the chat as well. So if you are interested in a particular program, just click on the link. You can see a full outline of the program, summary of the modules, and so on as well, which is useful.
Okay. Or if you want, you can speak in Vietnamese as well if you feel shy.
Không biết là mọi người còn câu hỏi nào để đặt ra cho thầy Liam hoặc là Quang nữa không? Tại vì mình bắt đầu cũng được tầm khoảng 1 tiếng rồi đó, cho nên nếu như mọi người không có câu hỏi hết thì mình cũng có thể kết thúc ở đây để mọi người nghỉ ngơi. Mai sáng đi làm sớm. Còn nếu như mà bây giờ chưa nghĩ ra, nhưng mà sau đó có câu hỏi suy nghĩ ra thì sau cái buổi này Ngân cũng sẽ có liên hệ với mọi người để hỏi về những cái thắc mắc của mình á, thì Ngân cũng có thể giải đáp thêm. Còn hiện tại thì không biết là mọi người có ai muốn hỏi thêm về Ireland không nè? Ok. Ở đây mình thấy cũng có nhiều bạn á, Huyền, Linh, rồi Duy. Không biết là mọi người có ai muốn hỏi thầy hay là Quang không? Liam sử dụng tiếng Việt. Ok, rồi nếu mọi người không có câu hỏi nào đặt ra tiếp cho thầy với lại Quang thì chắc là mình cũng xin kết thúc cái buổi trò chuyện với thầy ở đây nha. Rồi sau buổi này thì mình sẽ có trao đổi thêm với mọi người.
Okay.
That's great, Truk. Thank you. And how Tran, fantastic. Great to see the interest. Best of luck. If you do have any questions, or if you think of anything afterwards, my email address is in chat there. So drop me an email if you need any advice on your SOP or the application process, and speak to the Unilink team. They're fantastic, as you can see.
So thank you, Liam. Thank you, Wang.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Lovely to see you all.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Goodbye.